Good morning, Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson, and welcome to Y107.9 FM. It's a great honor to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Reverend.
Perfect.
When I was coming, I thought you were an archbishop.
No. I'm not. So my Rev is a nickname I picked back in uni. I think I earned it. I didn't pick it.
All right,
I was a part of the prayer group, so I'm the type that will go with you to prayers and then still go with you to party.
Oh,
yes, exactly. And so I'm the reverend that is with the people, and so that's where I got the name. It's been with me for about 9 years now.
Oh, great,
so far,
great,
so
great.
good. I get to places and I'm allowed to join.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't join queues because they know it's Rev Erskine. They think I'm a pastor until they find out I'm actually not, a real pastor. Doc, thank you so much once again. I want us to hear your story this morning. I really wish I could just open the microphone for you so you tell me everything about your journey from then to now. But I need to definitely ask a few questions on the particular things my listeners and I would like to find out. I want to know about your childhood, your upbringing, for the many people who know you from now, who are not very familiar with your upbringing. Give us or throw a little bit light into the upbringing of Dr. Kofi Kludjeson. Where were you born? How was life like for you? What kind of family did you grow up in? Give us insights on all that.
Okay, thank you, Reverend. Incidentally, I didn't grow up in a Reverend family. I grew up in what we call Guardian Royal family.
Okay.
My father was chief of harvest. But prior to that, I was born in Kumasi.
Oh, cool.
At that time, my father was working with Unilever. And then he was installed as the chief of all the Ewe tribe kingdom those days, under Ashanti Empire, so that's how I was born. And later on, he went home and also continued to become a chief, because of, hereditary inheritance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for me, so, being, that's where the Prince Kofi comes from.
Okay.
We call it Fiakofi in the village, chief son.
Okay.
So therefore, but unfortunately, he passed on when I was 11 years old.
Oh.
That began one of the major problems of my life because that day I had my chop box those days by the roadside going to Bishop Secondary School. As a student, very excited. When I was brought back home, to be informed that he passed on that same morning. So that ended up my secondary school, classmate business in Ghana. Yeah. So sometimes I find it very difficult when I go to people that talking about Achimota and all of them. I keep quiet because I don't know what to say.
Very unfortunate.
But that became also the beginning of my new journey of what I called, in America, Chicago, the hustle and bustle. I did a video for Tinubu just last week, and I talk about the hustle and bustle. In Chicago. So then, therefore, it became very difficult. So that was I was in middle school, Form 2 at that time. So I had to continue to middle school, Form 4, where we finished, So the longest certificate I had was MSLC, middle school certificate. But that time became very difficult, on my mother as to what to do or not to do. So, like the village, we started weeding farms, and so forth and so good, coffee farms. But then my mother then decided that, look, you think that there's a poor people at that time go to training college. So she wanted me to go to training college. Yeah. And I said, no, me too, I won't go to training college.
You had your plans straight.
I know, because, when you were, those days, when you were home, my father being a chief, all the district commissioners, people come there, business people and all. So I said one day I will become an Accra businessman. So
that was a career aspiration for you.
Yes,
an Accra businessman.
Yes,
Nice.
So, but then my mother pushed on, and they sent me, arranged for me to go to Amajofe.
Okay.
Training college. Yeah. But 2 weeks later, I ran away.
you still wanted to become an Accra businessman?
I ran away, so I came back and continued the weeding of farms, and that made my mother very sad at that time. But then my uncle, who was a driver, chief driver working at Pong at that time, they were trying to do the Accra Waterworks, in Pong. So he brought a tipper and brought me, to Pong, and I became a laborer. I became a laborer at Pong Waterworks, and that time, Elang was a contractor.
Okay.
So the head, saw me and took interest in me. So I was brought to the office, became a messenger.
Okay.
So
promoted from being a laborer
to become a messenger.
Sounds good.
And then once things go on, and so there was opportunity to send to Germany to learn how to do water laboratory, stuff, chemical for the waterworks. So, my boss decided that I should be part of it. But so we're very excited at that young age. But when it got to the end, I was sabotaged.
How?
The accountant who was there at that time put the son in place of me.
Wow.
So that ends, that life
the
story.
Dream of living to Germany as well.
So. But that day I took commitment. I mean, Aburoji to me to go some, whatever the circumstances was. Anyway, so then the contract got finished. So I had to go back to the village, back again.
To Weeding?
Weeding, and all kind. Then I became, my uncle was a contractor.
Okay.
So we're going through the pit, take sand and all those issues. Then, one day then my then sister, elder sister, came and invited us pickets from the village back to Accra. So when we brought to Accra, they found me a messenger job.
Again?
Again at the veterinary. If you go to down the Labari Road, those veterinary places were the first employees, the messenger. I have to sweep all those rooms before 8 o'clock. And I was living at Pig Farm at that time.
Pig Farm all the way to Labari?
Yeah, you walk through all the way there every morning. To be there, and then you walk back. Those days were trot was over.
I'm trying to really understand. So Pig Farm, you'd use the what's the name? The 37 side, or you use the other side?
Down,
yeah.
You join the Nima police station.
Yes.
You get on the road and you walk all the way down,
straight down Osu,
and
then straight to Labadi. And you did this every day, like twice a day.
And I have to do very early to sweep the room.
To sweep before 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
Wow.
Then we got there. Then Dr. Sidi Kwati at that time was the chief veterinary officer. So there was an opportunity again to become a veterinary guard. So I became a veterinary guard. Dogs and goats and so. But then when I was there, then those days, Ghana Multimedia Center, there's something called Christmas sales.
Okay.
So they employ people, for Christmas sales. So it attracted me, at that time. So I was given an offer. It lasts for only 3 months.
Okay.
But then Dr. Kwati said, it's only 3 months. If you go and the job finish, what would I do? I said, well, I'll go, because I wanted to
go back to Weeding. I mean, you never really minded going back to Weeding.
So it landed me in a GNTC, as a salesman, downstairs the provision store. So one day I was there, then the HR, although the local administrative manager, at that time, Nana Corina Jim Rollins' father, was the managing director.
Okay.
And K. Naka was then the general manager, and then Miss Rosie Chris was the administrative manager.
Okay.
So very fair, lady, who comes to walk through the shops. So none of it was watching me. So one day she sent for me to be invited upstairs. So I said, am I going to be sacked? What
Are you going back to Weeding?
Am I going back to Weeding or bustling? So when I got there, she said, who wants my name? So every time she walks around, she sees my enthusiasm. So if I don't mind, they'll bring me to the administration to be in charge of the files. So I said, so why not?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Always ready for the job.
So I got upgraded.
Another time.
I got promoted. If you will, upgraded to administration. So when we were there, was a big store those days. Huge like the Accra Mall you see today. Was a huge store those days. Various departments So I became in charge of files and all kinds of things. At that time.
Keeping records and all that.
But then the quest of going to Aburoji was still in
me. It was still in you. So at this point, it had moved from just becoming an Accra businessman because you had come to Accra now.
Yeah, I mean, Accra.
You were doing business. So the next thing is Aburoji.
You have to achieve your objectives.
Okay.
So this, all of us, the boys, were living in Lagos town those days. There were 10 of us. So we also go to Aburoji. So those days it was Poland, it was Germany, and all that. So there's something happened. So we'll go to Yankee, those the things about cowboys, and all those things were propping up. People were sending for pictures. So we all go to do those things. I said, no, for this, we'll go to Yankee.
Go to America, rather.
We'll go to Yankee, we didn't have the background, the qualification, or whatever. So every day, we'll be, in the afternoon, between lunchtime, there's a typewriter there, so I learned how to type.
Okay.
So I've been typing and sending messages, getting pictures, getting implications, where I don't have the background, no G's or whatever it is. Then that's where my problem began, and then the luck also came. Then I was reported that it looks like I've been taking things from the file in the office in the afternoons and so and so and so. So then Mrs. Quiz, the one day she came very early. And they saw me on the table doing the typewriting. So she invited me. What I told her, I said I've been reported that I've been picking files and so and so and so and so. That's what I've been doing. I said, no, it's not none of that. Then what have you been doing? I said, well, I wanted to go to Aburuchi, so I've got some addresses, so I'm typing, getting. So he said, let me see. So I want to bring those days we got Bonanza pictures and all of them, Bonanza, all these actors sending pictures with their signatures, which was very attractive. Yeah. And schools who have qualifications. So I came and showed it. He said, is that how you have been doing?
You've been creating a whole mood board for your plans.
He said, but you don't have any background. How do you want to go to Aburuchi? I said, well, I will go some.
Anyhow,
at that time, the JNTC had a training center upstairs.
Okay.
The building, which is for, workers. So she got me enrolled, in that school, which was an adult school, So we've been there. Then one day she called me. So, well, he has a son in the U.S., and that he spoke to him, so he's willing to, receive me.
Oh.
If we can get all the papers.
Just get there.
That's what the problem is again, because, Sikadi home morning no day.
Yeah.
So I thought of a plan. So I go to the village.
Okay.
And I'll buy charcoal, load it to Accra and Masale and Malata.
Wow.
And
so did you maintain your quote unquote messenger job? Sorry, the administrative job at GNTC, and then you were still going to pick that.
And the evening I come and sell my charcoal. So people bring the charcoal.
Okay.
And then in the evening and the weekend, I was selling charcoal. And the somebody went to report to my mother that your son is not doing it at Grau, it's in Malata selling charcoal. Hey, this old lady.
And this is the family that is trying to get you to go to training college, and you skipped.
My mother came and cried all over the market. I said that I go back over this one here. Wow. It is. They say, you want me to go to training college and you want to go, and I'm saying, yeah, charcoal, quiet, coffee. Anyway, so that became understood somehow, but I continued. Yeah. Selling the charcoal. And then when I sold the charcoal, then I'll go and save money for travel agents. Okay.
So you were saving, you're actually saving towards it with the travel agents.
One Mr. Joe, who said, well, this is she can also help, but you need to, so we're saving small, to the Intertos, called Intertos at the time. So we're going, the doors were opening, whatever needed to be. Not me, most of us who want to travel. At that time, that was in the 70s. Okay. You are nowhere near that.
I was born some 20 years ago.
So therefore, something happened, then the son sent documentation, so we began the process. And then I managed to apply for a visa 13 times. I didn't get it.
Wait, 13 times?
I didn't get it.
within a period of what?
About a year or two,
You kept going back.
Yeah,
Uncle Prince, help us understand, because now, you just have to do everything online.
Oh,
you
no,
to the US Embassy, all that. You have to go and queue.
Oh, yeah, you go and queue, apply, and, those days were young, I was less than 20. Okay. Even at that time. So you're going to apply, you don't have, first I don't have the qualifications, but I won't have to go, so I use my working and all of them. There were various categories, of visa at the time. So, but I still want to go, so the gist is in me. So finally, when I went, the lady said, "Oh, you be coming here? You really want to?"
So they took notice of you.
Oh yeah. So
13 times.
So I got it, and then that was when another problem began. So I was given the business visa.
Okay.
To go. So and then I didn't have money. So the money we had can only buy one way ticket.
One way ticket. You're supposed to get like 10.
So and then my auntie at that time was working at GNTC Star Hotel.
Yeah.
So I went to tell her that I was going. So she said, "Oh, really? There's somebody came and bought something." So she gave me, I think, $5 or something at that time. So we're ready to take off. So we took off. One day through Alitalia. Alitalia agreed to take us.
So it took you to Italy first?
Then to Rome, and then I arrived in Chicago. That's where my life really almost sank.
Wait, it sounds almost as if anytime something big happens, there's always a big blow after.
And then another good news began from there,
So what happened when you got
to
Chicago?
when we got there, I had one-way ticket instead of return ticket, her business visa.
Instead of like one that permits you to stay.
$1 only in my pocket. Only $1 in my pocket. So then they said, well, I have to go back, prepare and come. Then the Alitalia airline guy came and said, look, this is America, man. You don't. And then I was begging, apologizing, so the Alitalia guy came and said, look, they just told us that we should take you back. We're not going to take you back anywhere. This is America. Fight for your rights. You're not going to take you there. This is America, man. And then he walked away. I said, what is this?
What do I do
What
from
do I
now?
do? But when he got to the last gentleman, the supervisor who signed
For them to
take me back, then I look at my papers. Said, your name is Prince Kofi Kludjeson. I said, yes. So you're a prince? I said, yes. From a royal family in Africa? And I said, yes. So wow. So how come we don't have money? Because we know Africans.
Yeah, you have gold and all that.
Gold and all that, at that time there was a movie, by Eddie Murphy.
I think Coming to America.
Coming to America. There was a movie Coming to America, so it was everybody's mind. So they said, and truly, I am and I was. So we do that, went round. And he said, well, good luck.
You've been admitted.
So that was what began my life,
Wow.
And I arrived in the good. By the time I got there, those friends were supposed to meet me. They were not there.
They were not there.
They moved on.
Yeah, because they thought you had been returned.
Yeah. Then I saw a police guys, on the road. So I stopped him. Police, Chicago police. Well, this is my problem. This is my predicament. And he said, you stopped me. I said, yes.
I mean, you don't stop these guys.
But me, I didn't know. So, and then they did all look at my face, did all kinds of calls. So, okay, jump in, So I didn't even know where I was going. So, okay. And then we really got to Chicago South Side. It was horrible, terrible.
It wasn't what you expected, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Proper ghetto.
Yeah.
I said it on TV just a few days ago. And, the Black Panther, the movement, it was not easy. I said, what am I?
What have I gotten myself into?
So the police said, that's why he brought me, because the address I gave is not a safe neighborhood. Anyway, so he took me to the building and then knocked on the door. And my friend would open the door when they saw that there's a policeman. So, but anyway, one thing led to the other. There's a latch at the so they opened it to the police told them they just wanted to know whether this guy. I said, okay. So the policeman gave me a number and said, have a nice day. And that's how I arrived in Chicago.
Yeah. And I mean, at this point, so when you were moving, was family aware? Was your mom aware you were leaving?
Yeah. She saw me off at the airport, crying, of course. And then I have a brother. My father at that time also had 4 wives.
Okay.
My mother was the fourth of the last one. So and then I have elder sisters, who took care of me. Who were all there to help me up. So that's how I arrived. That's how life began for me.
So you had moved from being a messenger to becoming sort of like a clerk and admin. At some point, you were a laborer. You started selling charcoal at some point. You managed to apply to the U.S. 13 times. jumped over that hurdle, got the opportunity to fly. You got there, you almost got returned. You beat that, talked to a policeman, you were sent to your residence. I mean, the person that was supposed to receive you. From that time, you mentioned life changed. How did it change? What opportunities were you exposed to at that point? What were some of the initial challenges you had to face? Did you at any point feel like, okay, this is a wrong decision, I have to go back to Ghana?
Okay. So there was a challenge again when I was allowed in. I was also supposed to then report to the immigration to ratify, my papers, so. That took 6 months, and in fact, you need to bring the bill was not good, there was nothing coming, so we're trying to contact people to help, sponsorship, guarantees, and all of them. It was not coming, because it was not easy, those days, those were the Nigeria, Tinubu, almost all of it were hustle and bustlers.
Oh, the current president?
Yeah, okay. So I did a big tribute to him just 3 days ago. Well, hustle and bustling. So then the last day, that whatever the ship would be taken. I was the immigration called, crying, tears. Then somebody just came. I just said somebody, rub my hair and look at my face. Oh, young man, what's the problem? Just come up to 36th floor, come and see me. Some white guys. Yeah. So I said, who is this guy? So I followed up. When I got there, I had a lot of police, security, all on that floor. I said, what's happening here?
Have I met these people again?
Again, But then, so when I was sent to him, he ended out to be the U.S. Senator, for Illinois, Senator Percy, So sit down, give me water. What's the problem? Why are you shedding tears? I saw you shedding tears. You're sobering. What's the problem? So I told him the story, and he said, wow. So West Africa, go through all those issues. So I told him, who I was, so okay, let's see what I can do about it. So when you think you can overcome more of this trouble, I said, well, I'll be trying, He said, okay, that's what I can do, give you another 3 months.
So extended it beyond the 6 months for you.
And also became my friend,
Wow.
I became my friend. And that meant that then they went and did a plea on my behalf, so I've been here already. So take care of yourself, make sure you obey the laws, don't get into trouble. If you have anything, call me. And that's how it began. And that taught me a lesson from there on, that you must always be there for somebody. Whatever the circumstances is, you have to know the person cannot be a relation.
Before you show up.
Yeah, when you call God, God will listen, so you must always be there, for people. So that has been my life to today, being there for people and many, many people. So things began. And then, they're looking for jobs, hustle and bustle.
Yeah. I like how you use that word.
It is hustle and bustle. Yeah. Where I live, Black Panther headquarters, it was about 3 blocks away from me. In the night they were shooting, you have to be on the floor or the stray bullet. Does not come the area. Some of the time you are going out, you see dead bodies on the streets. Yeah. It was not easy, it was rough, in those days in that area. But that's where we were. Yeah. So we have to go. Then we get many jobs all over the place. And then, got an opportunity, to go to school. So I chose... Finally. So I chose to go to, technology school. So those days you do a lot of exams. So I got past the Honey West of Technology. That's where my whole technology life began, And I went through that, did some many courses, work at the bank, eventually become the head of the IT center at the bank, and many things began happening. Yeah. Then we applied for. Eventually, I got a stay.
Because now you had been on your best behavior. I'm sure you might have gone back for your review and realized you were clean.
I got a stay in 1973. So
that's like after how many years? 3?
Yeah, and then I have my brother, my sister. So again, I started applying for them as well.
Beautiful.
So I managed to succeeded and brought all of them to the U.S. And then I came back home. Then life started changing. In a positive manner. So I came home one day to visit my mother.
Okay.
And so I decided to go around, visit all the companies, computer, UAC, NCR, computer, whatever. A lot of
and that's because
foreign companies.
You were in the tech company in the US.
Foreign companies. And then I realized that there's no Ghanaian local company, So when I went to NCR, then when I was leaving the room, then the sales manager, they go one Victor and go call me. Say, you're from America? I said, oh, we need calculators. Those the calculators were coming up. So when you go to the US, can you send us some? So I said, calculators? Say yes. I said, okay, so no problem. So I took the details. So when I went to the US, I tried to look around, then I had to come back again because my mother was not well. So, and I also took my brother to the US, So I brought 12 calculators, to them. Now, when I came, that was where my biggest problem began again.
Another problem.
Because apparently the brand they wanted is not what I brought. I brought it from the Radio Shack. I think they did NCR
yes.
brand. Okay, so I brought it. And then he said that's not what they want. So I had to stay and sell it and make my money and go back. That's where my business, like also in Ghana, started from.
Yeah.
Took about 6 months to do that.
6 months?
Yeah, going around. So I had my biggest break, at Ghana Post at that time. When I used to worry people, what I need to go back, And then the Director General, Peter Deborah, said I should send a message that I should come at 12:30 lunchtime those days.
Okay.
When I went, then he asked me, where are you from? Why are you so aggressive? You're a young man, so. I said, I need to sell this and get money, go back there, to the US. Where do you come from? So I mentioned my uncles. Apparently, then there was a relationship established, So he got the accountant, they were interested, so they took my first, product. That became my first business. So I registered Kludjeson Enterprise at that time. So let me start business right away. And I never saw back.
Wow.
And be one thing leads the other, till today, laying the foundation for many, many things, touch many, many people's lives, training, technology, self-help, creating, brought back, anything happening in telecom in Ghana today, we did the stock exchange, we created many, many models of those things, through my business life, including your, that I met Edward Boating.
Our boss.
Then I see those little guy.
So you met him in the U.S.?
I met in the U.S. So we became
Was
friends.
he also hustling and bustling?
Oh, yeah. But he had a bigger hustle with CNN. CNN. I met him when I was at CNN in Atlanta. In Atlanta, so it was through our friendship that he also came to Ghana.
Wow.
And started a breakfast show. Started the first breakfast show. And also hustled into the system, one to lead to the other, silver bed, and the rest
all
is
of
history.
that coming about.
And the rest is history. Kwesi Chum also came at that time. So my brother, so we tried to call it the telecom policy because of AT&T. My brother Kwesi Chum and others bring the media policy, was with Kofi, and all them led to the creation of Media Commission and all this. And of course, during that process, there was a need, to do so many things. So you see, a lot of things happened in Ghana. This is why I feel very sad about the so-called politics in Ghana here, because nothing in Ghana that I know of, anybody can tell me that was created by anybody called a politician. Zero, nothing. All the policy issues that give you guys great job, quality job, are all done by we private young people who thought we need something for Ghana and something came out of it. Is it so? I don't really understand still the policy of Ghana. I don't understand it. Is it because I don't see anything that has been created that laid the foundation, for any major issue. So I'm praying that thing should be rationalized so that more. You just talk about 61% of this. They are the youth.
Yes, exactly. Imagine we taking up our lives just like you did.
Yeah.
And fending for ourselves and creating new patterns for ourselves. What happens is we're creating new systems.
Yes.
Just like you mentioned. And if we're able to do more of these, our systems will change.
Yes.
Politics won't do that.
There's not politics anyway. We grew up in many, many countries. We travel. And then, when I get my finally to start business in Ghana, I became the president of Association of Ghana Industries, Lion, the AGI. I changed it from Ghana Manufacturing Association to Association of Ghana Industries. Rotary, Lion, became president, governors. so you touch a lot of youthful life. University of Ghana, we created, ISEC and all those issues.
Oh.
So there is nothing that I can see in Ghana today that is safe from the political, but it's just support services to create the policy.
Exactly.
These are sometimes that I was in one of the big guy 3 months, a few days ago, and he was talking about the young parliamentarians. So Kofi, how do we support these young parliamentarians, to give them what we had, we are support. Those days we have people like Vanguard Ashona, Wadaku, Omabo, and all those, they'll quick you to action.
Yes.
Today it does not exist anymore. Even there are a lot of chiefs in Ghana who are very noble, they're not talking. So that's the big missing link for Ghana. And sometimes when you are going through what we are going through, this I was almost a shareholder in this business. This was a crime because I tried that were doing real estate. Eventually he passed.
Also a child.
So it's all about people.
And connecting and collaborating.
Yeah. You see, so therefore that has been my life story. And other things, and other big things, happen one way or the other.
I love it.
But it's not been easy.
I can't even ask you what the motivation is, because there are bits and bits of your story that depicts the kind of motivation you had as a young man, and you just, cemented it with what you just spoke about, the fact that you just wanted to improve your life, touch lives, and make things better. Through that, you forged forward, you jumped over the very many hurdles. There were times you could have given up, There are times you could have said, okay, bring me back to Ghana, but you didn't, because you had a grand scheme ahead of you, something you wanted to work on. I want to find out, so at what point did CellTel come in? Amongst the many good things that you did, I'm very particularly I'm very interested in that. The key hurdles you needed to scale in order to, revive the CellTel brand. You were all about resuscitating that systems and creating new opportunities and collaborating with, enabling people to change the system and narrative of, developments then. How did you do that with CellTel?
You see, most of the big businesses in the world happen by accident. If you give you the baseline like Guinness, Guinness.
Yeah.
Guinness, there was something like Guinness at that time, it was a beer company. So they were brewing the beer. The father, who's a brewer, left the scene. The son was supervising it, and the thing got bent.
And then it became a new product.
The thing got bent, so then the father came. He didn't, lambast. So they brought an expert who looked at the whole thing, and they said, look, this is a great product. So they started in Ireland. People will love it. It became a big thing. So was my story as well. Through that pocket calculator, one to the other, I established a Kludjeson Enterprise.
Yeah.
And then, so as we're moving on, we became people were interested. So actually moved back and go back. So we became established an office equipment company, the first office equipment company. And then I was there when HP came. Packard at that time, came and partner with me as a young man, and it was difficult at that time because there were all of foreign companies here. There was IBM. There was no way. So I created a local solution.
Okay.
So it was not about HP. Those days it was even Hewlett Packard. It was not HP. It was a difficult name. So what I did was that I'd look around the system, be an American, train and look out. So I'm always trying to bring the American system and adapt to the solution, because so we decided to say, okay, we need to train people, empower people. So I started a computer school, then I started training, those days was revolution, it was not easy. So I picked on secretary, because if you want to talk, when you go to offices, when you talk to people, the secretary, it's not easy. So I picked on secretaries, So we started training secretaries from government. Then we got somewhere, it became more difficult. We were succeeding. And then the government of the day, the Roland Chikata, everybody stood up against me. You became too popular, blah, blah. Today they'll bust you here, they'll bust you here.
Do you think they opposed what you were trying to prescribe because they didn't understand it?
Most of the things till today is misunderstanding. Most till today, a lot of the things that happen in Ghana, people look at you, Reverend, if you don't give care, you'll be a president, he will overtake you, so let us
bring him down,
even though you're not interested in it.
Exactly.
That's the problem about Ghana. So I live in, Rollins House when I came to the youth. I live in 29 Independence Avenue. I was part of the family. All the children were there when they were born. But when he got into power, because of my, I don't know, people say I was famous. Me, I'm not famous till today. I don't see the fame. Because you touch lives, people.
You're impacting lives.
Yeah, impacting lives. So people call Kludjeson. I want to name people. So some they say Kludjeson and this and that and that. So they became threatened. According to, I only knew this, when Koji to Qatar, they'll come and pick me up. They'll ban the company, but I'll continue doing it. And you see, one of the major advantages and the advantage I had was I didn't go to any of the secondary schools, so I don't have friends.
Yes, you had no circle.
I have no circle. Yeah, that's a word, So, but those that I meet on a daily basis, I make them my friends and my family because I was a half orphan also at that time. I need to have families, So I met a lot of people. Everybody I knew today came from, those kind of things. So I made a lot of friends, touched a lot of lives, and went to a lot of problems as well. But at that time, we were in the 30s, so they didn't understand. One of the major problems I had was that when we got to some point where AT&T decided to partner with me to transform Ghana as a gateway at that time. My whole problem began that time. Who am I? How can I do this? So the government of the day started hustling me. They were behind me. They should go to partner of Post and Telecom, so and so. But we got to somewhere where, at that time, the chairman of Ghana Post and Telecom was General Anyideho. Was Colonel at that time. Also the chairman. I don't even know him, so I asked about him. So I got his house and I drove to him at Bamakam. So I told him my problem. That these people are coming. I met them. They want to come through me because of this, because of that. So he said, "Hey, but you're a very young man. How do you meet
How are you going to do it?"
So it's okay. You see what I can do. So he had a meeting. Post and Telecom, for the engineer, Danusa, Jima, most of them. This is what I came to see him. How can we do to help this young man? So we began that discussion. And then those days, then we got somewhere. Where we need to be able, I don't really understand it's the subject, but I just want to do business. So we got somewhere where it became very difficult, because telecom is legal, it's not machines. So it's about intellectual property, compliance, and all of them. So we managed to go to some point where I need to go. I was invited to the U.S. again to AT&T. Now when I got there, that day were 12 inches of snow on the ground. So when I got there and we were taking, I was told that this meeting will last for 15 minutes because AT&T don't have an African strategy, they don't meet about Africa, but because of your persistence, they want to talk to you. So I said, okay. When we got there and they opened the door, the room was packed. I said,
everybody.
Hey, Jesus Christ. So I said, please, can I use the washroom?
So we strategize.
Yeah, so I pray to God.
But I'm sure you were hopeful because you knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but I called the God, wherever you are, this one there, you have to work with me there, you need to be with me there, So I called the God, this one there, you don't have a choice,
Calm down.
Calm down. So we, got in there, and as soon as I got there, they started.
The two questions are you?
Hold on. Me, I'm from Africa, or where we come from, you have to know yourself. And next, by the time we go to
just
the
to break
exercise,
the ice,
took about 30 minutes.
Wow.
There are a lot of them, the engineers, and so then everybody that relaxes, and then we began the question, very vigorous, the very technical labyrinth solutions.
Yes.
Then at the end, there was a Ghanaian guy in the engineer called Victor Lawrence.
Okay.
Who had a lot of patents, really young man, very brilliant, the topmost African at the AT&T at that time. Then the head of engineering was a guy called Takmani, it's an Indian. So he said, look, what I've said really gladdens his heart because he also came to the U.S. as a young man from a village, so. Like I like to tell my story.
Yeah.
I like to tell my story about whom I am, okay. She said, okay, well, we're not interested, but for all that you said, we'll take a look at it.
Give it a try.
Give it a try, Then one of the guys, the American guy, well, it's called Dick. So, well, Dick Snyder. I said, well, if you guys will do it, then I'm prepared to follow him to go and see the Africa anyway. Wow. I don't know where it is. It's a jungle, but let me go and see the jungle. Reverend, that's Ghana's problem becoming to be solved from that little thing. Then the process went on. We got to some point, and they said there is a person in charge of, it's a lady who's a very hard lady, in charge of compliance and all of those security, all those pretty talk. So it's not going through. So well, they were to tell me they want to book. I want to go and see her.
There was the person blocking the
blocking. So I said, okay, let's go. You know, Chicago boy, but Chicago boy anyway. So no problem.
A hustler.
So 8 o'clock I was in front of her office.
Wow.
And then she came in, you know, and I just followed her. I just followed her because I don't want the door to be closed. So when I got in there, I said, who are you? Why are you following me? Who are you? I said, please. I'm from Ghana. You know, I'm supposed to speak to you. Ghana? In Africa? And I said, yes. I said, wow. Sit down, you know. So I sat down waiting for the next problem to come, you know.
Next problem.
Then she took some tissue. I don't know whether she was doing something, wiping tears. I don't even know. They said, sit down. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. If you give me the right answers, then we can talk. What is the name of the university in Ghana? You know, I said, University of Ghana. I said, well, where is it at? And I said, I think the place is called Legon. Did you go to school there? I said, no. Maybe close there, you know. Okay, the final question. Do you know of any international school in Ghana? And I said, yes. Where is it? They said it's a place called Cantonment. I don't even there. Then I said, what's the name? I said, Ghana International School. He said, I'm a Ghanaian.
Wow.
I said, how can you be Ghanaian? You're a white lady. He said, well, let me tell you, you know, my name is Cario Fiorina. You know, my father was a professor at the University of Ghana in Italian.
Wow.
And, you know, so I grew up in my formative years in Ghana, and I went to Ghana International School. You know, before I left, when my partner was finished, I was leaving Ghana. That's what we left. So I've been trying to find a way to see how I can connect back to Ghana, you know, and see what can be done, you know. So her whole story, just like my story, so we hug ourselves. And Reverend, Ghana's issue and everything that happened
got solved
from that day.
Wow.
You know, then I finally met up with Lawrence also, who had a patent. Great guy, you know, and few guys, you know, Mwaku, who are the Ghanaians, they start showing their faces. Now, Reverend, so we began the journey, and Rollins all come. We got somewhere where they wanted to see now, you know, to Jananido, who, you know, the guy there was, Mensa was the director general at that time. You know, Salia was then minister. So there's something about US, you know, call about, you know, government handshake.
Yeah.
You know, because of policy.
Yeah.
So through the system was not easy. Who am I to go bring America, young man like this? Then they started suspecting all kinds of things, CIA and all kinds of things. It was not easy for me that time. But I persisted.
Yeah.
You know, so friends, you know, so you know, so Salia, well, they finally said, we can go. So Salia led a delegation. That was the beginning of issues and my problems. Not only they also said to find out who really was behind all these issues. So when we got there to the U.S. Bell Labs, New Jersey, big delegation, you know, from the Ministry of Communication. That I was transport, you know, communication. So it was through this project that it became Ministry of Communication. So we got there, and we have to fly to a place called Chicago, near Chicago, where the AT&T big lab is.
Yeah, it is.
So when we got there, because it was my hometown anyway, Chicago.
Yeah, so that's your
so when we got there, then I was told that Ghanaian delegation will come here tomorrow morning to meet the Ghana, you know, Ghana delegation we're coming to meet a delegation from Ghana. So the chief director said, Salia said, no, Prince, no, we are not here because of that, because it cannot answer any question about revolution in Ghana and all of them. So I told them that that's not why we are here. So they said, no, we should just wait and see who the people are. Reverend, and then they wrote a plane, 120 Ghanaians who are working within the AT&T at a certain level.
They had brought all of them,
mobilized them, you know, to
120
all over the place. Ghanaian, you know, some I could just name, you know, they came, you know. who were Ghanaian citizens, to meet the Ghanaian delegation. It was a major breakthrough. So apparently that's where they were just briefing how they do for India. They can allow them to come and work in their own countries and all of them. So we went through all that, great visits. So policies were made. So and then so when we got back, there was a need to establish a regulatory body, which is now the NCA.
Yeah, NCA. Yeah.
And then there's a need to do a stock exchange because we got there. They said, how would they exit? Me, I don't understand exit. And those days Unilever, wanted the data, so we had to go to all kinds of things, so therefore the NCA, at that time National Communication Authority, was created, in line with those policies, and so then got there about the stock exchange, so the stock exchange, so Minister, so I appointed Merchant Bank as a treasurer, but I wasn't a chairman. So he made an appointment for me to go and see Dr. Gama, who was the governor.
Yes.
So I went to Dr. Gama, who is from my region. I met him. He said, Kofi, you are too aggressive.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go,
you're there.
These people, they are afraid of you. Let me tell you, you want to do stock exchange. What is that? I don't know. It's just a process. So anyway, so we, I don't know whatever happened. That was the zeal in me. And eventually we got there. So even the Ghana Stock Exchange, to cut a long story short, it was not set by government. We had to, book in it $5,000 each. But 12 of us, so you one man from Merchant Bank decided to go and manage it. So we began that process. So the stock exchange was not created by government; it was created by the private sector, people, and then whatever happened, So we got somewhere where, continental acceptance, Faridonko, went to established Cal Bank, wasn't the credit manager at Merchant Bank. So we had a meeting. What do we do? Then there was a white lady from IFC who then said that he has a classmate in the US. They went to Yale together. So the machine kind of forgot. Yeah. So we got the journey and we have to go to the US. I met him. We were working at Solomon Brothers at that time, and then the Cali and Afede, all those teams. Those are the other side, the financial. Yeah. So, to one to the other, they also came, then the stock exchange was done, through various government policies.
But that, not to cut you, but that was not even a part of the intentions. You just wanted to solve a small problem.
My job till today just solving problems. And other things happen.
Yes. And then in the course of that, different sectors were created to ensure it is sustainable.
Yes. It's just like Edward. Edward was at AT&T, was CNN. One of the major things Edward did was just very little, at the time. It's today a very major compromise to CNN organized between Rollins, talking the world, talking the world on Edward's platform. He created it huge. He was one of the biggest for Ghana, where Rollins was in Ghana, by some satellite remote, in talking the world.
Made it happen,
It made it happen. You see, so through rather than all these little things, Wi-Fi, nobody knew today it to be here. So that's why sometimes when I'm talking about this, I'm very passionate about all of it, whatever our faults are, forgive us. I'm being, whatever our faults are, forgive us, because we are blessed by God to do what we did. And it touched lives. You see, so I'm not interested in the work creation, all these things and all that. Let's bring everybody back. Let's attune, to them. Let's look at Ghana again. How can we not have $600 million owned by us and sign a check as Ghanaians? It doesn't make sense. Why would be suppressed, and people are writing checks, and then if you go on the Sprinters Road, our own land, it's been developed by, taken over. Taken over. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. So when I meet everybody in government, I said, it doesn't make any sense. Life is about blessing. Whether you like it or not, it's about blessing. So I'm not a pastor, but I know that I'm blessed. So let us bless Ghanaian young people to move on. Because see, it's not the old who does the things, the young who does. If you look at the US, in my area, in your area, it's all about young people. Yeah. Today, you don't need anything. You need a Facebook, something.
Yeah, something.
You are doing broadcasting, you see. And these were created by young people.
No, when you look at these things you just mentioned, right, and you compare it to the kind of enabling environment you had then, not underestimating the power of collaborative work like you mentioned, do you get scared for the future of Ghana technology is advancing. All the telcos, everything is advancing. We have Wi-Fi, there's internet, the e-systems. We're creating a virtual world, all that. But do you think that element is lost and it's a scary thing? Does it look scary?
I'm a very, very, very positive person because of my own life story.
Okay.
I know everybody in NPP and NDC, you know, we created, you see, if you go back to the foundation of the current parties, we created NDC and NPP the same day, 28, July 1992. We created it. All boring government that was part of, I'm the only one who's not in active politics, It was not created as a party, was created to neutralize revolutionarity and create a new situation so that we can move on. That's how it was created. It was nothing leading to Kwame Nkrumah, Dankwa Buzia, and all of them that everybody talks. See, if you look at them, they were very young. Those who are even in there. But they just tried to side on making some good money here and there. But that's not it. You see, the problem about Ghana today has nothing to do with politics. It has something to do with Parliament, whom I blame. You need to create laws. You see, look, somebody was talking already today. How do you export, $21 billion of gold or whatever, and you make only $3 billion equity? You see, GNPC, they're fighting for 7%. So let Ghana own our own sovereign rights.
And these can be done through policies.
Just change them. 5 minutes. Ghana has 30% equity in all our right. Let them fight.
And it's our policy.
It's our policy. Let them, that's it. You guys want to, why are you struggling? All of you struggling. People go to Aburuchi, they don't know what to do. India is doing it. Rwanda is doing it. South Africa did it. Malaysia did it. South Africa, what they learned from Malaysia. And Singapore, 35%. They create black empowerment. See, when I was AGA, one of the major things that I did was that I was fighting for this. We got close now to what they call, the oil sector. We did a policy for 30%, but they sabotaged it, and then they created local content, and then the foreign brought Ghanaians, to come and do it, So I think the Ghana problem is not a major problem. We can still do it. They are brilliant young Haruna, Kudjeto, Apejo Markin, and all of them. Let's use that and create the enabling environment.
So, Doc, then it moves me to my next question. With all the experience you have and the solutions you've brought about, why do you think these small things are not being done? You're saying we can change the policies and make it happen.
See,
do you think people don't see the vision, or they just won't do it?
What my friends in politics, even if there's any, say is the state.
Okay.
How can I take from the state? Not what will I give the state to? Is that 99% of the problem? Look, I just saw a friend of mine at the Accra Mall here being held to enter his car. Was a very successful one of those days. You see, life is not about that. You see, it's life about, let's create the environment. Look, Dangote says that, I didn't know I was rich. I went and wrote a check, and I'll give me $10 million. You see, look, this, my brother, Tinubu, all kinds of things they said about him. His first speech, yesterday or 2 days ago, Nigeria economy has jumped almost 9.5%. Access Bank make the biggest gain, 2.4 billion. Just a speech, that he made. The stakes in Nigeria has gone up. He abolished subsidy, on fuel.
He changed a few policies. On the spot.
On the spot, and the whole thing. So it's about wisdom, it's not about old age. People think that we are old, we are not that old. You see, it's not that difficult. $3 billion, if you cannot get it as Ghana at this age, 60 years after our independence, then there's something wrong with us. You see, look, when you go out, our children, whatever, they are all over the place. Look, the IMF, those who come to negotiate, they are young people.
Yeah, they are.
You see, so let us, just like the biggest success story I've seen now is the media. All of you are young, brilliant, and the media are changing your life. I'm from this village, and they hear. That's what you hear. But you are lucky then. You see, so a lot of these things might happen. But again, we are starting a very major business about launching a very big smart city. It's a new Southall. I don't want to talk about the old one. The goal is to give everybody a Wi-Fi for everybody.
You know what? I think we should talk about that. I read somewhere around, I think Sunday, about it, that Celtel plans to make Wi-Fi accessibility its key emphasis, and there's one village, one Wi-Fi strategy, and the general new strategic direction for the company. I mean, so since you've mentioned, let's throw more light on that. What is the plan? How is it looking like?
What do you see now? If you look at the vice president, he's talking a lot of digital, but it's not being felt, in society. You see, this is Accra Mall. So turn Wi-Fi here. Everybody's busy. You see, the thing about technology today is connectivity.
think when you go to America, it's done everywhere.
Everywhere.
In New York City, free
You see,
Wi-Fi.
if you go to the
everywhere.
University of Ghana today, there were 120,000 people. The kids there, they don't have laptops. They don't have Wi-Fi. You go to Kenya, see. The whole of Ashanti region, you know, where you come from, can become the California of Ghana. 49 districts, 2-3 million people, KMA alone, you know. You see, we need to just get back to technology. The fight for Ghana is, if you look at the policies of the world now, and the slave trade and all of them, it was not about slave trade, it's about gold. You see, well, look at the coronation in the UK today, it's all about gold. Even the carpet is gold, whatever. Let's leave that and go back to mindset, you know, you see, California, those days was a big Galamsey, you know, area. You know, Galamsey area, you know. So Stanford established Stanford Institute, you know, like Frimpong Institute, you know, it's also about to happen here, for which I'm a dean there.
That's great.
You know, and they just brought the boy to the Stanford Institute. One till the other, they became Silicon Valley. So when Clinton came, they got Al Gore. So Al Gore brought the policy. Those who want $100,000 to do Infosys project, they started. Bill Gates drove at Harvard, Facebook drove at Harvard, they all drove at Harvard, and when they look at California today. California today is a 5 trillion economy, which Ashanti region can be, you know, today.
Obuasi can be.
Yeah, so that's our project. So our project now is municipal to all the 275, you know, communities in Ghana, municipalities, the cities should be Wi-Fi enabled. You know, 5,000 connectivity for every district.
Is it going to be subsidized?
Yeah, subsidized. And let's go from there. Give a laptop. So we have 4 product device strategy: a smartphone. You see, the lady's always on smartphone.
She's
a
smartphone,
a tablet, you know, laptop, and smart TV. This thing will change the whole of Ghana, and the whole value chain will come up again. Because the MTN, the Vodafone, all they are the old technology. Now we need to go to IoT and create it. So what we're doing is to be able to make sure that we create, just went to the shop, laptop about 9,000. Nobody buys, you know.
I think if I'm not wrong, somewhere around level 200 when I was in uni, there was a project like that in collaboration with, I think, RLG then.
Yeah.
Yes, to supply, but I don't really know what happened to the project.
Yeah,
but these things are doable. I believe they can be done.
Anything that put that into politics, you know, that I think get lost. So there are huge things to do in Ghana there. Because even agriculture, talk about agriculture, right? You can't do agriculture without a smart agriculture, housing, and all of them. So our goal is a very simple thing. Reverend and the family, everywhere there must be Wi-Fi there.
Exactly.
That's what we stopped. And then somebody takes that from there. So we began. We should launch it in July.
Okay.
You know, cloud-based, you know, and then see what we can do and create more value for Ghana, create more excitement. Where, you know, iPhone has joined us. You know, Cisco is leading the, you know, Facebook, they are leading the project. You know, HP, you know, Dell, all the, you know, the device company that joined it to create that, because they're having difficulties in Ghana because, you know, the price in Ghana, everything is cash.
Yeah.
But whereas in the US, UK, it's all about credit or subscription. So we are going to introduce those policies backed by the bank. Access Bank is leading ours. How can all the teachers in Ghana have a laptop, smart TV, and pay small for over years? How can you pay on 65 cities and have internet at home? You know. So those models is what we are doing as my last legacy.
I like that.
My last legacy.
Since you're mentioning the last legacy, that means we're seeing retirement soon after maybe this plan sees fruition.
I don't know about retirement. You know, see, where I grew up, you know, when my party is 97, is still moving on. See, the more you grow, the more wisdom that you have. If you look at President Akufo-Addo, you look at Tinubu today that's coming up, you know, so the more you grow, the more wisdom you have, you know. One of the problems in Ghana is that everybody at 60, they retire. There are brilliant people who are supposed to be retired, and they're walking about. So, but I think at that age, let's continue to give empowerment to you, the younger ones. The 60-70% that you talked about. The more people hear it, the more people talk about it. The more they get empowered, the more they get counsel. But one other thing I want to tell you today, that I have a very, very, very positive advice for Ghana after this election. You know, I don't care who wins, but Ghana will change.
From become better.
Much, much better. You know, because the psychic will change. People are fed up. Those who are going to go to government, if you don't do it, they'll be punished by the system of the country, you know, because they didn't do what they must do. So I'm very positive advice for Ghana, and Ghana will take off, you know, and we'll be happy and enjoy. Because Ghana itself, it is with the African continental trade, it is by blessing that it's in Ghana.
Yes.
So if you plug in, say 80% of that whole thing is about digitalization, connectivity, and there. So many people are going to be leaving Ghana, stay in Ghana because of this mall and other malls. You see, another problem about Ghana, people don't know, is that the reason why most investors don't come to countries is because there are no malls. The wives want to go to malls.
Yeah, that's where they buy everything.
The children want to go to game parks and all of them. And Ghana is, I think, changing, towards that. So I'm very positive that from this election, this time I'm happy it came. It calmed the whole system down, and it'll be disciplined for the next 2 years. And but I think that we need to make sure that we make laws, sovereign laws, so that we take part of our rights back.
Yes, we make and we change.
Yes, let's say Ghana, everybody for the 2025. All new businesses in Ghana, government will own 30%, or the Ghanaian own sovereign rights. It's more than like UK, Singapore. Let's just copy. I'm a marketing student, so if you want to copy, be original.
That's all.
You don't copy from copy.
Yeah.
So I think that positive thing would, and then we, the people who are this age, should continue giving wisdom through the young one, through this kind of medium, to encourage people and see what they can be. The problem, there's a place to call and go. It's not only about money, it's about connectivity.
That's beautiful. Doc, what would you like to be remembered for in the local and African telecom industry space after all this is said and done?
All that I want to be remembered for as a legacy project for me is that Africa, Ghana become successful, young people become very wealthy in the right business frame, in technology, because technology will not change for artificial intelligence. It continues. So let me continue to conclude the foundation that I couldn't finish, so that you can take it from there. That was all, that I want to be remembered for, if anything. Empowering people, touching lives, nothing else, not much. Because anywhere I go, people talk, hey, are you Kludjeson?
The popular Kludjeson.
I don't want to. I just want to make sure that
that's lovely.
Ghana stays, we succeed, children get benefits. I'm from a village, so that, more villagers who want to be like those who were behind it, in front of us those days, so we can go on from them.
All right. Akwesi Oteng in Kumasi just sent a message. I think he's watching on Facebook. It says, Doc has mentioned that he's not into politics, but if at any point Ghanaians want him for president, will he say yes or no? That's a quick question for you from one of our listeners.
I feel that
if we call on you.
See, I feel that those things are decisions by God. You see, the Bible says the chosen one. You see, I've dodged these things for many, many times, because it was not my calling. But I said that it's not my calling. But see, if we get there,
cross it.
Reverend say, in the years, I don't want to be like my friends say, the people say I should go, my people say I should go. No, but I think that let's lay that foundation. I think I'm better at doing what God wants me to do. Let me remain there. I don't see what politics. I can be. If there's a president, I want to be behind the president. Like the U.S. and other areas where those who really govern America, they are behind. Not the front line.
Doc, if you're not doing all these things you're doing, if you're not changing lives and creating solutions, is there any particular thing you do that you can describe as fun? Something to lay your hair down? If you're not busy, what do you do?
Me? Hey, I do a lot of things. So I lie on my couch, on my phone.
Are you a social media person?
I'm a social media person because I create social media. Yeah. I do a lot of counseling.
Okay.
I did a lot. I was coming here. There's a friend of mine, the wife, they were not having well. Called me yesterday, said I won't come. So I said, okay, from today I don't talk to you anymore. Then he called me and said, well, what you said yesterday, I went and read about you, about giving tribute to Tinubu. I was so touched. I didn't know that you know that person, so I want to come down. And so the time I gave is close. Yeah. So there are a lot of problems in Ghana. So I like to do counseling to help people. Because of my own life, have difficulties in my life. People look at me. We went to the President Independence in Volta region. It was one of the best independence Ghana has ever had. President, everybody was there. All the security guys, and I was shocked. And then we got there, one of the major security companies guys, came and started to me when we were at the residency. So Dr. Letsa said, Kofi, do you know this one? This was, hey, this man, gonna borrow you the water keepers now, But then we got somewhere, I saw a lot of tension in there. And I look around, the chiefs were there, So I took my own decision. I went to my friend, the president. I said, Nana, you are welcome to water. Here we dance bobo. So you have to dance bobo. So the wife said, I think you are right. Then when the vice president, the wife too said, Daddy, the chief of staff was the most interesting. Kofi, so what should I do? I said, can we someone give the woman? You brought the time of bobo, and the whole thing changes.
I love that.
The whole system changes.
Doc, you are the solution man. You seem to have a solution for every little thing. Now, at this point, I want to find out. Okay, you are friends with Tinubu. You mentioned that. I think it's something I can't ignore. He's the current president of of Nigeria. I almost said the United States of America. Of Nigeria. Of course, you met him in Chicago.
Back then.
Yes, your hustling days in Chicago. Was there anything about him that gave you hopes that he could someday be the leader of a great country like Nigeria? Did he describe your knowing him then, things that made him who he is, things you saw in him that gave you hopes that he could be what he is now?
It's not about Tinubu.
Okay.
Many people make mistakes about Tinubu. Most of us who are trained in America train you and give you leadership qualities.
Okay.
The current Chinese president, it was in, I think, Ohio or somewhere, in a farm somewhere. You see, America is a great America that gives values into you. Most who are successful in the world today, it used to be Britain, so there's something about Tinubu that is special, like I said, I describe him, we all belong to African Student Association. Then nobody thought I'd be president or whatever. But you see, as and when you stop coming home, see, one of the things Nigerians did, and they did very, very well. See, when the 419 came, the government decided to do something about it. So he decided to bring, I want to say, all the CEOs and chairman of the bank, and the Kano Emir, who was again hustled out. And they said, well, by 10 o'clock on these days, this thing might change. So, see, Nigeria have a lot of the senators who went the U.S. program like Kellogg's that I've been through and got trained for leadership. You see, Tinubu, you see him like that, he might be old, he might be all the things, the level against him, drugs, whatever it is. Like I said, it was a hustling time. Survival, okay? But what we concluded in this march in Chicago, we are no more blacks, Reverend, Jesse Jackson, Stony Island, creating African American, we are no more blacks. This spirit of hustling and leadership was all implanted in all of us. It's not about Tinubu alone. It's about most in the whole world, Iraq or wherever, they are those who are trained in America. You see, if you go to the U.S. now, at the graduation, 40% of what they're going to are Chinese.
Yes, exactly.
Today. See, so it's not about Tinubu or anybody, it's about what's imbibed in you. And I just realized that this Tinubu thing, the guy has organized many sectors, who are brainy to be able to do these things. If you look at the video that I did, I was surprised. It was only me and Dankote that was on that video.
Yeah.
You see, and nobody else. Then they sent me another one by the U.S. president. So it's all about connectivity, linkages, and then allow the system to work for you. See, it's about presidency, it's about leadership. How did Obama become president?
Yeah.
The Americans wanted to make a black man a president, but they don't want the African American at that time to become president. And Obama came and make a speech at the Democrat Chicago, where I was there, and the Teddy fan says from Kenya. Wow, let's move on it. They rushed to Kenya, media to Kogelo, to do whatever they did. So it's not about, we need to understand that, the Bible tells us about the chosen one. You see, let's follow the tendency of the Bible, if that's what it is, and arrive there. It's not about Tinubu or Kojo or Kwame or Kofi Kludjeson. You see, let us support leaders. Let us support our team, and then we can be able to assess all that they went to. Peter Obi, God said, hold on. Everybody thought that would be mayhem in Nigeria. But there was nothing. You see, for nowhere, Peter Obi came from nowhere. So in the next 2, 5, 10 times, maybe Peter Obi will become president. So I think it's an encouragement for Ghana. For me, my major things about Ghana, all of us, we should stop all these things about NPP and NDC. The name is not a commercial enterprise to be picking things out of. You see, allow the young ones to continue going, open the more doors. I mean, look, you see, I was at professors, at the Legon few months ago, and this is what I said. They should name me who is a millionaire in Ghana. You know, and then I said, oh, is it a problem that the professors are not teaching well, or the students are not learning well? They said, well, I said, well, every elsewhere in the world, they go to, you know, professors to get guardians to run countries. But why not here? Then I said they should. Then it's according jobs more, Japan. So I said, okay, Google, let me know whether they are on the Forbes list or that, and it's zero, you know. And I said, this is it. Then one of the professors said, let me also Google you. Then they Google me, and all this was pouring in their face, and that's all got value. You know, said, Doc, I know you when I was a young person. We did a program on Saturday, you know, and then the lady said, very famous, child, very prominent friend of mine, something called Judge or whatever. He said, this man I'm going to introduce now, I knew him. He impacted on my life when I was 9 years old. He's a friend of my family. He used to come there. His views and who made me join, the Leos, now the Lion, and now past president. And, he started many lives, even though we don't know him in person. I'd like to introduce our father, my father.
Everyone's father.
So Lion, Prince Kofi Kludjeson, regional chairman. So I said, oh, really, me? So it's all about touching lives, and then the benefits will be reaped one way or the other. But I think that we'll see Ghana. I met a very good person in politics, very high level, and I was touched. He said, Kofi, look, you succeeded, we succeeded. Let us find a way and recreate it. I mean, this government, but when you look at most of the MPs in the political divide, the young ones, they are doing well. How do we give them support back, so that we can move on from that? So, wow, this is a project, let's begin. Yeah. So that is what we should do. So to remember is, when they mentioned this interview, Reverend, I think it will go a long way. So it's not about anything.
And I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. Yeah. I love the fact that you didn't hold back on sharing your story. I really know if we had much time, you would have gone farther on a lot of the things you talked about. But it's quite detailed on the level you gave us. I look forward to having you come back sometime soon to maybe have a deeper conversation on, the telco business here in Ghana, the direction we're going, the future, things we need to do. You mentioned we making policies that will enable that. These things need to be drumming into the ears of the everyday people so they understand the need to have that as a part of our lives. Else there will be that rejection. So we'll create all the systems, but then they won't be able to adapt to it like we're supposed to. So work on that and then bring you back sometime soon. But I can't let you off, of course, without having a final piece of advice from you to the very many young people locked into the show this morning, Doc.
Like this one. My advice to young people has always been they should look at my life. I'm not a fortunate child. Been a lot of school of hard knocks, which you call it. But here I am today. They should focus on their dreams. They should focus on their dreams. They should focus on whatever it is they want to achieve. They must be honest, truthful. There are problems, there are, rocky roads, but they must climb it. They should not give up on Ghana. They should not give up on their home or their villages. Like I started talk about Nogopo. I was so touched. I was sad. Yeah. That's a great guy. We brought him we met him in Israel many years ago for a program. Your children are from there. Nogopo, I'm the president. So look, when you go there, if you go to India and all this, for me, I'm even going to put a biscuit packet and call it Nogopo biscuit. To take easy. Yeah. So we need to be careful what we say. It must impact on society. And see what we can do. But I believe that the youth in Ghana, they are doing very well. They are disciplined. One of the things I've seen in Ghana, they are very, very, very disciplined. Let's continue that business and continue to counsel and guide them. So not only the church. You see, one of the major problems I also see is, my friends in the church. You see, in the U.S., the church develops you, gives you other values.
It makes you socially valuable.
Socially valuable. But here we talk only about one thing. And now the Israelis, where the Bible came from, they say they don't want to hear it.
Taking off.
So, but I believe that Ghana youth, they are doing very well. They are not very rowdy. I believe we'll get there. One day we have a very useful president or leadership. I think it's going well. Me, I don't really have any problem now, because of Akuyo, who is always worried. And I think we'll be fine.
She's a stubborn child, eh?
Very, very stubborn. One of my stubborn children.
Lovely. Doc, thank you so much for joining us this morning. People at home, if you're at your office, if you're driving, I trust you had a wonderful time like I did. So we've had a wonderful morning with Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson, the popular one. He's chairman of Kludjeson Group of Companies. My honored guest on the show this morning. Very, very insightful interview. I enjoyed every bit of it. He went into details. Now, just to let you know that we're here to stay. If you missed any part of this interview and you want to re-watch, it's going to be on our Facebook, okay? We're going to break it down, take bits and bits of all he said and share across our social media platforms so you can pick and get inspired on. He's a social media person. So, Prof, do you have Instagram, Facebook? You don't?
Yeah, Facebook. They handle it.
They have it. Okay, so we'll get the details from the team and then share.
Okay.
People, he mentioned that he's a great mentor. He's a counselor. If you need any advice from him, I mean, before we get him back in here, you can just get in touch with him. The name is Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson. Do read further on him and see how you can also, motivate yourself with his story. Prof, thank you so much. Sorry, Doc. Thank you so much and do have a wonderful day.